Way, how are you? He's back in his transgender pink and Georgian hat. That means he's feeling pucker and happy. Some people will see that as a contra indicator. Some people will see that as encouraging. It's the crypto sniper coming right back at you. Yep. What are we going to be talking about? Well, we're going to talk about crypto, obviously. We're going to talk a little bit about the alts that I will see doing rather well, potentially going forward, as Bitcoin proves it is basing out. Some might say that sounds a bit early. That's a bit presumptuous. More to come. It is early. We are intending to be early in terms of our preparation, but our sense, our growing lack of downside is further confirmation that we feel that this is basing out. We've shown you a couple of patterns. So we're going to talk to you about, yes, if Bitcoin is basing, why there will be a good move for alts to come. In other words, we're going to end halftime oranges, and the second half may not be far off. It's time to start getting ready and get your bull hats back on. This is a bull hat. You can remember this logo. It'll probably be slightly early, ridiculed if we're wrong, but I don't think we will be. I think we're going to do okay. Here's what's happening. The volatility is dropping. The volatility is dropping. Despite miners collapsing in hash rates, other chain-based indicators, and a shout out to looking into Bitcoin, who we'll show. Why don't we go and show it straight away? Who I rely on for the chain-based type analysis, their Puell multiple. Register them, find them at lookintobitcoin.com and grab them. This multiple is getting into the green zone as well, which has typically been points of lows. Let's make it a bit bigger. So we've got our early call on COT. It was because of the speed of the collapse, it got triggered a little bit prematurely, as it did on previous pump blow-off tops. Now we've got other long-term that aren't minute-specific, hour-specific, but are generally very good secular investment-based accumulate now type indicators, indicating that there is good value to be had. So how's it performed? Well, we'll indulge the lads there. All their details are on there, by the way. Look into Bitcoin. Check them out for on-chain analysis. Really cool. What are you going to be looking at? Daily coin issuance. Obviously, as halvenings occur, the daily coin issuance drops, but the price has also moved on. So you look at daily coin issuance with regards to its aggregates over the last year, all taken into account, and you can see whether with the combination of price and how price has moved over that time, whether it's now actually a point where Bitcoin miners are saying, I don't really want to sell the Bitcoin we're getting right now. I think we can do better later, versus when they think, wow, we're making super normal profits, unload everything as soon as it comes in, which typically is of high nature. So the red are sell zones. So those are the sell zones on the actual Puell multiple. That's the red line. Bitcoin price in blue. You probably knew that, but just to make sure it's clear. So if you look under these sell zones, you started to get good sell indicators on the price, typically when those events occurred. So those tighter little circles I'm showing you are actually relative highs on the Bitcoin event. That was, as soon as you mine it, sell it, get it in. We're making super normal profits. As soon as you mine it, hodl it, I think we can do better. We can sell higher up on limit orders, just cover costs for miners who are an important part of Bitcoin, as much as everybody is talking about proof of stake and how everything should change. So we'll highlight there, again on their multiple, a relative low, again there. Beautiful call, by the way, relative low. Now note again, with these macro indices, it doesn't mean, particularly as we're still in the middle of summer, and I'm calling early, it doesn't mean immediately necessarily everything just starts pumping. It's not like that minute specific. If you look at that indicator, and I'll take a straight line, and you'll see if you draw straight up, it was actually there at the low, and the price went burp, 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 and then up into the eventual high. So recognize that you can still gestate for a while. You can vacillate for a while, but on the long side, there's probably There's a difference between no more likelihood for significant further downside and an immediate push to the upside. So there's that pause period, and we've seen that already with commitment of traders. So good stuff. Here you are at the low end. How did it work here? That was our triggering event, our final primer on the first cup gold nugget break. The 2.5-year consolidation that occurred there. Brilliant entry. How did it work there? Pretty close to the lows, but you still had a little squeezy that took a couple of months to happen. So there's still probably points for really good strength, maybe only end of August, September, even possibly if you're unlucky, partway through September. Could even be the real strength could maybe only come in October. I don't know. I wouldn't want to be caught late to this second half. It's kind of like the Euro 2020. You know, it's all action. It's all happening in the football. It's funny that you're having a Euro 2020 in the 2021 year, but that is the nature of our weird life nowadays. So that's a Puell multiple that has joined other not minute specific, but long run macro investor accumulation point zones that have been consistently very accurate. On the disaccumulation side as well, as highlighted for relative highs. So what you want to be thinking about on the mathematics is you don't want to, for some of you that are hurt, in pain, well off highs, angry, upset, pissed off with crypto, wanting to poke Elon Musk's eyes out, etc., etc. It's because you rode the down leg. And the example of what happened recently, you've got to make sure it doesn't happen again. And I did a little bit of last time, and I want to reiterate this point. It's going to be super powerful for you. If you don't ride the elevator down, you come back up so much bigger into a new high, so much stronger. Hence why the stablecoin call was an important one. And you're going to have another event like the pain you've just recently had, if you wore pain, come again, but it's going to come after you're giddy. And as I mentioned, you're John Travolta on the dance floor high as a kite, and nobody wants to go home. Don't fall foul of it again. Don't be entering every piggy bank and getting every cent into crypto max leverage, because this is the easiest money now you're ever going to make. That's usually going to be the sign of the top. The laser eyes, all the other sentiment indicators, they were all there. The doggy, etc., etc. The guys just becoming pump and dump manipulators like muskiness, etc. It was a warning sign that we were getting there. These kind of indicators that the lads that look into Bitcoin put together, and the COT indicator that we do, are useful macro indicators. Start to be warned. We didn't make the red here. This confirms to me why we say it's halftime first oranges. You normally get a really good surge, but not the extreme blow-off surge. Then you get a correction, and that all those indicators reset hard down, and then only the second time you go up. This is why we call this an echo bull. Note that that bull also didn't get into the hard sell zone. Note that the 2017 top, where you got a serious 18-month bear market, did, but you got a half cast rally up to the midpoint, but never quite in the red zone over here. That coincided with that little piece of price behavior. So just this recovery up to there brought your indicator halfway up on the Puell. But then going quiet and resting brought it quite a long way back down to buy you new real estate for that indicator to blow off into on that high. It's quite an important couple of points. So actually, this resetting of the mining indicator right back down, where it's not even worth dumping them on the markets, you just cover costs and you accumulate for miners. And some guys will say, as they have done in this article here, for example, where they're actually referencing the look into Bitcoin's multiple, they are saying, hey guys, this time it doesn't count because it's all about China and kicking out the miners. And I want to make a key point. There's always a fundamental story. Never get swayed by the story. The chart don't lie. The chart doesn't lie. Yes, the hash rate spilt. Yes, all those things happened, but it's not good value right now to be doing mining like it was when it was 65,000. That's what it's showing you. For whatever reason that led to China now are no longer doing it? What if all those people have to move and it goes to a higher cost location? What do you think that's going to do for the Bitcoin price? It ain't pushing it down, I can tell you that much. So don't get overswayed by the guys that say take it all with a grain of salt. Indicators always have a reason why they've crashed. Oh, but it's the bear market. And it was a bear market because so-and-so said this, the Fed did that. There's always a story. You're either technical or you're fundamental. Don't be half of both, because then you're just selecting on a pick and mix basis that to support your bias. So you either work off the fundamentals, and you better have them early, and you better be super connected to lots of people in all the right places, and have ideally inside information, or you follow what the market does in the charts and you ignore the narrative. The full narrative comes later. Generally, those indicators aren't wrong. They might be a tad early. So it's not a leverage trade, immediate entry, but it is an accumulation point on investment. This is how we've continued to frame this, to avoid people getting hurt. And we are non-advisory, it's opinion. I'm talking about myself more than anybody else. I'm not projecting out to you what to do. This is an entertainment and crypto channel where we share our views. This is a sharing of a view in terms of how I am playing this. And that is how you should take it. But generally, these are good points. And they dip into the green zone and they back out. Plus that indicator is reset. So there's quite a lot of gain in Bitcoin that can reoccur before you potentially get into their red zone. So that is a little bit on other people's stuff and indicators, and we can go back to the Bitcoin chart. But what we're going to be talking a lot about is, should you have it in Bitcoin? Well, actually, for me, the one thing about second half is that you don't have to wait so long for the alt season to come. The alt seasons are very, very spiky because they sit and wait and they mope, while Bitcoin moves first as the God market and is the determinant of direction. And they mope and they mope and they mope. And then when they go super, super fast, but then they suddenly get curtailed if Bitcoin gets tired. That's kind of what's happened now. So they do a lot of their growth in a very narrow time, and you miss out if you're late. That's why we're coming in and saying, don't be late. We don't think the gestation period between when Bitcoin confirms and when actually alts are running is going to be at all long. And in certain instances, I think certain alts might actually start running before or already doing exactly that. So that's the benefit. So for me, the trade is actually not being long Bitcoin. Yes, it's great. We support commitment in the crypto market right now. We think people should be long. Someone new who doesn't know about the other alts can go and grab Bitcoin. I don't think they'll do badly, especially if we have our FIB extension, which we covered, how far that might go. And it'll go deep into 6 digits. There's 2 options there. So, you know, you're going to do, this is a volatile, high growth industry. You're not doing badly anywhere if you're long at the right time. Even just plain old investment wrong on Bitcoin. But can you do better? And might it be a fatter seam of alt market, given that the alts start with Bitcoin just a bit after and some even just a bit before? And those early ones are the ones that will usually do the most running as well. So you want to see who's showing you the relative strength and who's giving you the running. By the way, I also see you over here in the comments with your chat. Thank you for pacing this. 485 of you. What I would really like you to do right now, give me 1 share on your Twitter, Facebook, or other social media right now. If you're new to crypto and you want to have some basic, free, entirely information, grab the mini series right there on the link below, free. You grab the trading released emails where you can get a segment on how to approach markets, and you'll get 1 a day. You can accelerate it, or it's 1 a week, and you can accelerate it to get them all if you're really enjoying them. It's below. If you want to book a call, there's a link below. Give us that share and hit us up for the likes. 124 out of 501. We're coming at you a bit earlier because we think even today might continue to be a good day for cryptos and certain select alts. Okay, where do you start? Let's just one quick pattern on Bitcoin, which we showed you last time. You know about the head and shoulders. That is what we've kind of been referring to as a bear pole. And these marginally lower lows are typical, in our opinion, of basing out. which is a broadening structure, which is generally bad when you're going up. When you start to broaden, it shows a bit more volatility coming in. And when you've been selling off exceedingly strongly, it's actually a positive signal, providing it is making the marginally lower lows broadening, not an upward leaning broadening. And that's exactly what is kind of happening on the marginally lower lows. Also, if we take a look at the volume, it's quite well supported at these key sell-off events here. You can see that. They're red because the price was trading down, but there's a lack of follow through further to the downside. Let's put in the historical volatility. You can see for the 2-day, I'm going to go back up to the 2-day. That's daily. Let's grab 2-day. This is optimized for the 2-day, that the volatility is indeed dropping. On the 2-day, it's going to take some time because of the big sell-off. This was all a huge turning point. Remember the 54K? We gave that to you. That was the 2.618 from our first cup gold nugget. That was forward projected to you. So what's happening? Calming down and heading down on the overall side of things, on the indicator for historical volatility. When was it this high? When was it higher? This falling wedge. We'll be talking quite a bit about falling wedges in a minute when we look at the altcoins. There's your head and shoulder again. So just a quick revisit of some of the core principles. We've done enough on COT for now. Most of you know where to grab that. I hope you've grabbed your free version. Let's drop down to the 4-hour and just highlight how this is also coming down. So again, big volatility channels there. You've got a bit of a squeeze going on there. That's when we said, look, it's a symmetrical. It could go down. If it breaks down, it might be bearish. And that's when that flag broke down. And we said, that's bearish. But then it suddenly stopped in its tracks. It's invalidated. And that's a failed downside pattern. And a failed downside pattern, a pattern that doesn't have the legs to carry on going down, is underlyingly bullish. When you combine it with our COT indicator that triggered around here early on, the overlying feeling is that we've had a failed attempt to go down. We've invalidated that, and the volatility is dropping. You had another channel of volatility, a little bit broadening there, back down again, and you've had a smaller echo period, and it's usually when you sell off hard. A little bit of a flag there, another test, failure to make a new low there, failure to make a new low, little bit of Dow theory, and again coming down and volatility dropping quite consistently, and a nice calm, no mega candles walk out. This is what I typically call moderately chilled little walk out. And that's exactly what you need, and that's what's causing that volatility to dump. Let's drop the time frame one more, and then we will finish on Bitcoin and show you where we think the exciting bits are going to come. So providing the God market of direction, continues to do this. It's a bit of a Nike swoosh there, actually. We don't want to be mentioning them now, do we? You've taken out the previous high, you've failed to make a new low. So that is there, and now you're making a higher high. And you're still walking out. Nothing too exciting yet, and it's allowing volatility to come broadly down. There is still scope for another sell-off. We will cover that, and I think it's more apparent even on the alts than it might be in Bitcoin. So that doesn't mean it's all love and light and straight to supremely quick upside movement. This is structure building and basing out. This could still continue through the rest of half of July and into it. But we want to be early, we want to be prepped. You need to be mentally ready to exploit, and you want to know which tokens you want and in what levels, especially if you're holding some stable coin and you've been accumulating during this period. Have some. Where do you go? So let's start talking about some of the other tokens that are out there and in existence. And we're going to start with Big Boy ETH. And I'm going to take you up a time frame first of all to the 2-day. We'll make it log scale. fact, 1 day will do. Most of you remember all of this. If I do 1 day, I might just pop it back on the regular scale because I've done some draws for you. Okay, so what's happened on the 1 day for Ethereum? Well, falling wedges. I mentioned that they're going to play a role in here. First of all, this was a foundational and excellent upside HVF that occurred on the bull side. That was a supremely interesting upside structure. We got our 3 impulses. We got a nice tight squeeze. We had our target performance. We first met second interim. We got a bit of a pullback. We made target. We got a bit of a pullback and churn and choppiness. And then you went into overperformance surge. We'll drop a time frame again to see this in more detail. But I wanted you to understand where these 3 lines come from that you are seeing there. Ethereum should be the first considered equity after Bitcoin when you're looking at alts all the time. Truly significant one, been around a long time. A lot of things are being built on it, but we'll be talking about the rivals like ADA. We'll be talking about Uni. We'll be talking about Solana, and we will also look at Ripple. So there was your upside structure. Here is, once you got real choppy, you broke onto, this was almost a little rising wedge. I should use straight lines there. Little rising wedge onto here, and then you popped out of it to the upside. And that's also when you made the first basing move into what I'm identifying as a basing descending grind line. That is one component of falling wedge, which will have a capping descending grind line. And you might ask, why have I drawn it like that? I'll come to that in a minute. So essentially up to the other side, down, 3 impulses, which we like to see, especially where you see some inversion and collapse in the second one, which is kind of bloated. And then you look for a third. And I'm drawing it in a different color. You look for a third. Now remember something. That little bit of orange over there may not quite be enough. You might get a dip down one more time. You can, if you pop out the bottom of the falling wedge first before you go, you might even make a marginally lower low. But the key point on that is this has proven support. This upside fractal, it's not even a fractal, it's quite a big time frame because we're on a 12-hour chart here. This has proven support twice already. So I don't think you're going to run through that. You might get a small dip back and you might lean up against this line. You currently are very close to it on the lower time frame. So we'll drop a time frame and we'll have a look at it. I just needed you to understand the history of where that line came from. Good. So let's drop that time frame. This is Ethereum. So the key point is, it looks like you're at the beginning of the third of 3 impulses in our worldview for upside moves. It looks like there is a chance that you get one more rollover down. There is a chance. There is also a possibility it goes straight from here on the basis it's had quite a protracted period of making a bottom. It's calmed right down after that final capitulation, a hammer there. You had support there. You've had 3 touches. That could indeed be your third impulse that only made it to your splitter. The only people who split their wedges and point out the significance of that. Yep, and then so you could be about ready. Kind of what oil did for those of you that follow the Market Sniper, by the way. By the way, on the Market Sniper channel, there will be an amazing free evergreen YouTube on why you should contemplate time stops. It's not the full cut HVF spec that our community will be getting, but it will give you an idea why every trade should also have a time stop, not just a loss stop and a take profit. How you can gestate and vacillate for ages in between there, the cost, the opportunity cost and the carry cost, and all the reasons why you should be trading. For those of you that trade, and even investors, you should have a point at which you say, you're supposed to have delivered my objective by then. And we give you one example of how you can determine that. That is going to be released free on the Market Sniper channel. It's totally useful for crypto as well, but it's valid for all markets, oil, equities, the rest of it too. You should subscribe to that channel to avoid missing it. It'll be released tomorrow. Okay, so what are we saying? This could be the beginning of a breakout, or you could get one more rollover. We do not anticipate this level to be run. In fact, any rollover should be quite small. If you're a trader, you could drop a time frame and look for a unique setup in there, for example, and take it on the break to the upside. Or if you see it's first going to leg it down a little bit and soften for a while, you can go and pitch some limit orders to get filled on any subsequent down leg. But it's going to do one of two things. I'm not sure we're quite ready to go absolutely parabolic yet. Bitcoin is getting there, but some of these alts are looking a little readier sooner. And that could mean, as I've already suggested, one or two alts start running significantly before Bitcoin has done anything particularly significant. Remember, Bitcoin dominance has strengthened during this week period. Worth reminding you of those broadening structure when we got our first warning. We had an inverted structure here and one there as well, and one above. Let me take that volume off. It's meaningless and it's getting in the way. You could see that Bitcoin it was negative for the market, that Bitcoin dominance was going to start asserting in strength. And that occurred here. This spike there, that spike there. And then another falling wedge, which pointed to a slightly less impulsive regain of dominance. Overall, it's our view that that'll roll over. You could even have a head and shoulder and then fall. That head and shoulder could be one last little slightly negative period that brings Bitcoin slightly higher on dominance before you start to move lower below the 40% again. So our continued view of Bitcoin dominance during the macro bull second half is for it to roll over and make new lows this side of the bull market. So if Bitcoin dominance is to do that, it's run into a bit of resistance at a legacy target, as it did there. Funny coincidence is that, isn't it? And as a result, we think it's tapping out and it will start to roll over. Again, a bullish signal, because Bitcoin will be doing fine, other things will be doing more fine. And there's more of them, and they're a growing pool, and some of them are doing some really cool projects. They're not all shitcoins. And as a result, when that starts to get rewarded, it'll move onwards and upwards. Let's have a look. Ban the other shills, other to the moon. Yeah, so ETH and fees, yes, there will be that thing again. So ADA is going to have a heavy announcement schedule coming back in July, August. We've referenced this before, so we will show you that. But let's just take let's finish our Ethereum chat first before we jump off the edge and start entertaining some of the others. We've highlighted before that this is also 38.2% Fibbo level where Ethereum is finding support. It had a great head and shoulders, by the way. You may recall, we warned that once FBTC meets its FBTC target, after a small period over performance, it's probably going to be a sell season. Do you remember that? Because Ethereum had an upside target on the FBTC. We're looking at the ETH versus the dollar, and we're just reminding you of the upside HVF, the 38.2 from its low. That's the COVID-19 low, all the way up to its current high. That was the head of the head and shoulder, and you're at the 38.2. It also coincides perfectly with the funnel support we've already shown you from another exchange. We're highlighting that that was a break to the downside and warned of further weakness. So it's looking very recovery orientated for Ethereum, and they could run before. What about FBTC? So let's do the relative comparisons. Bitcoin comparison charts are undervalued and not done sufficiently often. So take that as a standing comment. So we've shown you this one, and you haven't heard from me in a while, so I need to remind you of it. Ethereum, Bitcoin, this is a rather interesting choice of exchange, Huobi. But you had a macro head and shoulder. You had a macro head and shoulder. Left, head, right. There was a complexity to the shoulder, that just like there was on this side. You had almost like a cup and handle left shoulder and a cup and handle. When you get a complexity in one place, it's probably likely to suspect it again. In other words, it's showing you. It's not cut. It's not diagram perfect. That's absolutely natural. Expect it to reoccur, and that did happen there. And then it ran. It made the macro inverted head and shoulder target. It set up smaller time frame structures for further upside, but the patterns were getting smaller and the increments that it were to climb higher getting smaller until it ran out of steam. Let's show that. Let's show that on the lower time frames. So FBTC is a very useful bull-bear indicator. Let me say that again, because you're going to forget this, you're not going to learn, and you're going to come to a new bear market, not a bear market, maybe a corrective market in December of this year, and you're not going to know what to look at what's coming down. The biggest alt versus the biggest primary store value alleged token is a great pairing to look at for when an alt market run is over, because the overall market is going to turn down and the God market, as a lower beta version of the rest of the higher beta cryptos, will turn down less. And what did we get? We got an upside HVF beautifully there. We got another little boost, and that popped you further. And if we have a look at it again on an even lower time frame, note all the little upside HVFs all the way, breaking the neckline, continuing up all the way, walking up 1, 2, 3, 4. This was all confirming stay long, alt bull, stay long, alt bull. Got to remind folks of all of this good stuff. Let's have a look at it, and eventually blow off head and shoulder there. Key neckline, sell off, reflated, rising wedge, spiller. Back down, support on the 0.555. You remember that level. You remember that level. And here's your 0.4, your original neckline for all of that. So there you go, a little bit of a bounce. Are we basing out? Now, unfortunately, it's not a perfect HVF, because on most exchanges, this is marginally lower. So it is almost like a very, very fine angled falling wedge. So there's a slight descent to that line, and I would probably say something like that. And that's probably a draw. So you may turn back a little bit from Bitcoin, bounce on your splitter, and then you go. So it doesn't necessarily mean right now Ethereum is going to start outperforming Bitcoin, but it could be coming. A little bit of spinning tops action there. I think you could come off a little bit. Hence, that right shoulder on Bitcoin dominance goes up a little bit and gives you a little shoulder on dominance before it rolls over down. Perfectly synchronized for all these things on a chart. So this is what we're trying to do. Forward look, scenario cast, make a case for what we see coming next in the price behavior. We are price behavior futurists. That's the game. Guess, yes, and do it on an educated fashion with lots of pieces of information. Don't seek to call for that which you most want. Rather seek to get to a closer truth, even if it's an uncomfortable one. And I would say there's a little bit of risk here on this. You've just run through a legacy funnel. Note how you supported on that legacy funnel for quite a while, and you made a broadening structure eventually to break it, and then you try to reclaim it, and then you come back down, and now you've got just back over it, and you're looking a little bit soft. Possible chance for pullback here. Do I think it's coming back down here? No, I think it's kind of a moderate, and it might even be even less than that. So I think it's a easing, mild easing. So the moment will come to pivot. So if you already have Bitcoin and you might want a bit more additional performance, Ethereum is one you can consider. But there's more. There is more. There is more, because we've got other alts to talk about. So let's go into whoever is next in the list. And it be ADA, and we were talking about the news-heavy data rollout events, etc., that will come for ADA. Now, ADA was at one point a little bit heavy when the alts were going, and then it got busy late, and then it got stamped on late, and has largely held most of its value. So because it kind of got a bit late into the alt run, when we were expecting it might break a bit earlier, got a bit late, got stamped on. It's largely held value from just prior to. So if we went back to May, 25th of May, it's around about there and it's around about there today. So in actual fact, you would have round tripped up and back down. But you wouldn't be much worse off than you were in the 25th of May. It wasn't that long ago. It's a month ago. So you've had a month of a bit of a round tripper. Now, if Bitcoin continues to ease and relax and slowly work its way up, and the basing and the volatility is calming, and some of the alts start shooting, this particular one could be an outperformer. But again, we're telling you early so that you can plan. That doesn't mean you rush out and buy it this very second. Why? Well, it could just run into the same thing I mentioned on Ethereum. Has it done enough for our third? So if we look at that, let's make these nice and fat so everybody can see it. This is all the stories. All the alts are falling wedges, but they are big structure falling wedges. Not all universally, every single red penny one of them, but most of them are in that kind of form. The high volatility dying down. The high volatility dying down. Was I in log scale when I drew that one? It's possible. It's a bit better. So you can see here, again, these are falling wedges. Falling wedges typically resolve to the upside. That means you will break to the upside when you go. You have just walked right onto the periphery of what we call a capping descending grind line. That is a basing descending grind line. Both have to be descending for it to be a falling wedge. That's your splitter, right across the middle. You are in the top half of that wedge. Small point of concern. Sometimes you get a little too steep an accumulation line along there, and you can have first a final stab down through it before you go. Just a warning. But you've got one impulse. We choose another color, little boy baby blue, little pippy blue. You've got your second, and you're probably baking and completing your third impulse. We'll do it in gray. And maybe one little squeeze out through this ascending grind line. A little bit too many buys coming up under. People are maybe getting a little too excited. That could be your institutions. I don't think retail is getting that excited. I see misery in crypto at the moment. A little bit of maybe a few folk talking green shoots and a few long-termers. But there's a lot of pain right now. I don't know where our sentiment indicator is at. Let's just have a little check. I wasn't thinking to share that again, but you know, we've been in an extreme fear recently. So let me just type it up under the table. Jup, jup, jup. Let's check that measurement. Still in the extreme fear zone. Look at that. So people will typically be late because they were hurt and there's suffrage and pain. Extreme fear, 25. That should tell you something. It's generally not retail unless it's smart retail that is doing that accumulation along the lines there of other. And you're about to break a falling wedge on the macro level. Possibly, or you have one more dip dack before you do it, and you can buy on a limit. Limit orders are your friend. Never chase in. Make it a golden rule. I never buy at market. I never sell at market. Even if you have to just get in between the spread and you urgently want out. Be a maker, not a taker. Be a maker. Be a sender, not a bender, if you know what I mean. Unless, of course, you have particular sexual needs, then, you know, be whatever you want. But my preference, personally. So there you have it. What's your bottom value Francis, sir. My bottom is not for sale. No, I don't know what you're talking about there, Khalid. Are you talking to ADA or Bitcoin or what? Bottom value. What does bottom value mean? Forget value. Value is interpretive. Price, I can give you an idea on price. That may not represent true value. It may be undervalued. It may be overvalued. Yep, don't be shaken out, says Jay Snow. Hope you guys held your tokens and didn't get hurt. The opportunity is coming. As I say, there may be one further in here. This is what the alts are indicating. Providing, remember, direction is still determined by Bitcoin. So we do need Bitcoin to continue basing, not doing anything too aggressive to the downside. All of this can be destroyed and you can have what we call a type 3 and spill lower. If Bitcoin, and that possibility remains, so let's be clear on this, the possibility remains, and we'll have been early herald. We called the morning and it was still the middle of the night, cockatoo, whatever. If we go for a fifth down leg to the 20K on Bitcoin, these will first not only spill possibly to here, but they can do a type 2 dip here before pumping, or they could just continue down for quite a bit lower, which we typically refer to as a type 3 falling wedge, where it actually goes in the unexpected direction. So that is a threat. But remember, every time you do something smart, there is a wall of worry around you when you do it. If you're using investment and not leverage, you could be seizing a very useful moment. Ideal, a small pullback collected round here on a down leg. Generally, I would say that would probably be a good outcome. Bounce on the midpoint, nice little wind up, and off we go. So that will take some time. It's not tomorrow. It's not the day after, but it could be in the next week or two. That could start to materialize, and you've got to have limit orders in. You don't win the lotteries where you haven't bought a ticket, and limit orders are your friend. So that's a little on ADA. We've also spoken about Ethereum. There are others. So let's have a peek. I will kind of skip Binance. I'll make a quick comment on Binance because some of you will be watching it and in it. It fizzled on that last HVF. It was quite a volatile HVF. It made its second interim and it ran out of time. Hence the value of time stops. Hence go sub on the market sniper and find out how you closed still with some profit, even though you didn't make the target on this very example, a classic example. And it was quite a volatile one compared to the predecessor, which was a lot sexier. See that second impulse, very up and down. There was some real sketchy and a little bit low slung. So we knew it was high risk. You made your second interim a couple of times, you tapped out and you broadened. And your time stop got you out with 75% of your profits. And guess what you missed? Well, of course, you would have had a stop loss at the red line as well, but that could have been slipped quite badly. If you messed up and didn't put your stop in, that could have been truly awful. But now, again, a little bit of a grind there, but also setting up potential squeezes. So possibilities of fractals starting to move in time, coming along. Remember the link that my control and admin people are sharing below as we speak for booking a call should you want to be in the community when we focus on wealth building and this key, critical, crazy economic climate that the central planners have orchestrated. Wealth will buy you some, even a high level of protection and quality of life. I don't know what lies ahead for us, guys, in terms of food shortages, preppers, social riots, deurbanizing, being chased off the land, not getting the same degree of freedom of movement, everything that's going on out there. I don't want to say too much that the channel gets a strike. Our reset sniper is now an odyssey, 2 strikes in very short succession. We don't want to contaminate, but there's some stuff coming down. Build your wealth now, do your prep, keep positive mindset through exercise, preparing and taking action. This is an important point for your own selves for what's going on around right now. I'm not going to get into opinions on various things, but take action, get physically fit, build wealth, have a plan. Think of this as a challenge. You're going into the army and you're doing basics, and it's a psychological test as much as a physical test. And see it as something that must be endured, and then you've earned your stripes, you'll have rank, and you will have escalated in the system. It's the shit pipe in the Shawshank Redemption. You want that freedom? Walk the pipe, buddy. Smash it open when the lightning is striking in that darkness after you've dug your way through that wall and carried handfuls of sand for years, and see that boat on the Caribbean and wait for Red to catch up with you. That is the game. Shawshank, right now, build wealth. This is where we do it. The link below. Book a call. You can become part of our community, and that's our game. So, Binance, not particularly interesting, but there's scope for recovery in all of them. DOT as well, not so interesting. I kind of keeping quite an eye on Ripple, I have to say. There is a feeling the Bank of England has been doing some testing on their net. They are, in my opinion, so there'll be some folk that will say, yeah, Banker Coin and all of that. And I've done that. I've called them out. But there is no point in not recognizing that the entire control structure is into crypto. ETFs, futures markets existing on them. I said in 2016 that crypto, there was an NSA paper that was in existence. Do not believe that they will ever let you have your own money. They shut the guy who did e-gold down incredibly quickly, and he got prison sentences. He had gold ounces for every dollar he received. He did nothing wrong. He created money and people could exchange. They will not tolerate competition for their money system. Competition is sin. Rockefeller. They want to control the issuance of money. That is their power over everyone. We are all participating in controlled money systems. You will never escape to have your own money system unless you go back to bartering, and they won't allow that. You can give a kernel of wheat for a piece of rye or whatever the case may be. So when you look at XRP, remember probably the same applies to Bitcoin. In fact, I shared someone else who recently updated this. This is a Zerohedge article, and I'll reference it. And he brought up the 96 NSA paper. This link is over here. I will put it in the show notes at the end, but if you are on Zerohedge, why ETH is better than BTC, that's an interesting discussion. I think a lot of it is true. I'm not choosing really a side on that. They need each other. We need Bitcoin to be strong, but there will be other articles that could have said why ADA will do better than ETH or Binance Chain. But go and have a look. It just reminds you that, you know, all these things have been created and there have been NSA documents and various things around. Do not fantasize or evangelize. If you have a fantasy about something, when it gets smashed, you go into depression and then you hate it. We get that every time. Every time there's a major Bitcoin pullback, you'll have people losing their rag. It's absolutely a bottoming thing. The weakest emotionally lose their minds. And this whole economic event is a mental test. It's a psychological mental test. The mentally tough will win, thrive, and come out. They will go from surviving to thrival to an extreme level. Those that are weak are saying it's no longer a world I want to live in. I know you might feel like that sometimes, but don't get too judgment. Keep playing the game. Understand, see it as game. Apply game theory. Life is a game. You're in an arcade and you're controlling a bald guy with funny glasses and a pink t-shirt, and he's careering around, he's making money, he's trading, he's doing stuff, he's hoping to influence people's lives positively, and he's going to win, and he wants to compete, and he's going to play to win. And you should do that to survive. And winning doesn't mean enforcing other people to lose. He doesn't want to be beaten by the gremlins, the enemies of the game, and their big boss at the end of the stage. So that's it with that framing. Falling wedge, again, same structures. Grind line, we thought that might be an upside on a quartz event. It reversed very strongly with the Bitcoin correction. You got a broadening structure there on a bear pole. That meant you would trade lower. You had a nice little mini fractal there. You smashed lower. And guess what? You came back also to legacy HVF supports that have existed. And now you have a bit of a grind line, but you have a very, very strong pump there. Maybe a rising wedge. One more dip down. This seems to be the theme. Possibility of one more little coming down. Look, they could run quickly. That's why I'm giving it to you now. There's a small chance it does a very small PP down and then it just goes. And then you're late. That's why you're getting it early. You could have had it earlier still with our discussions within the community, but you're getting it early so you can be prepared. But more likely, I would say, possibility of something. There'll be another piece of FUD, but markets bottom on bad news when they no longer really go much further down and they just turn and then they shrug something off. You don't bottom on good news. You bottom on bad news that has no effect or little effect. And that's typically how the game goes. So falling wedge on Ripple. Plus, I think the SEC sound like they've been cocking it up. And I think actually the Ripple net is very useful. I think they are a bunch of controlled, banker-friendly, want the institutional game. They're part of the cartel supporting global money. But I think that will apply for many more projects than you think in time. So hold your nose, make some money. That's the game. And also falling wedge. So put that one in your watch list. Ripple, also the volatility coming a lot further down, down, down. So what about, who else are we going to talk about? Uni. So the interesting thing about Uni that deserves some quality mention is that it, on the secondary sell-off, never made a new low. That was a interesting piece of overperformance relative to others. It failed to make a new low on that secondary sell-off. All the others that are in the falling wedge type category made a lower low. So it got most of its selling done in that first instance, and then it fell no more. Let's just show you something interesting as well. You can see on the way up, nice rounded top in the end, but you can see, and this is something we also were illustrating on our premium guys, broadening structure. When you start broadening on the way up, broadening upside tilt with a bull pole, spiller thriller comes next. Now, a little bit of recovery. If the bear is over, maybe you might have one more down, but I don't think you will run that low. So there's recovery in it, and the fact that it showed strength, that it didn't go lower, so that we're drawing falling wedges, the fact that actually it held on is interesting. It's interesting, and it is an Ethereum play, but it might go up a slightly higher gearing than Ethereum as a deep pool for trading and getting out. Then my favorites at the moment technically, and you ask for it often, there's many Solana fans. Solana could already be in a breakout. Like Uni, only better. Failed to make a new low. And actually, just had a super mean sell-off in possible three waves, three impulse structure. It could already be in a breakout, or we're going to make a higher 3 and finish down. So the fact that this didn't make a low could in fact still give us a macro, up and over and down, and then we go, is a very, very big structure. Don't forget the values there, 59, down here, 20. So for us, that's around $40 upside projection, anywhere from the 30s to 40s. I could see you up at 80, 70s and 80s. And then, of course, being the new, fresh second half after a full-blown correction, this would qualify for significant overperformance. And I am currently doing the slides for my premium community on how we manage our overperformance with our favorite setup. And I will possibly do very short, simple overview of principles of overperformance to make you think. And I will release that for free, as we will be doing on time stops tomorrow. If you want the real full game content to a premium studio standard, which is specific for HVF method and HVF setups, you will not get that on YouTube, but you will get a conceptual idea. That'll be very, very useful. But if you want the whole thing, book a call and come and see. This is going to be a life-changing move. This is your 16 to 17 high. It's your second half of 17 to 17 high coming potentially. I do, and I have said, I expect the cycle to extend. So you might have a correction at the end of the year of some form, another one like you've just had, maybe a bit smaller, maybe a bit bigger. And then you will go again for a little bit longer, in my view. So these cycles are extending, but they're not quite going in percentage terms as high as the very first cycle or the second cycle. But they're going to go a long, long way. They're going to go a long, long way. A couple of charts. I actually had a couple of charts on that. I'll maybe save it for the next crypto video. Couple of questions. Let's do a couple of questions. 623 of you watching, 280 likes. We appreciate that. Great closet, so you can close the reset on YouTube. We're going to leave it up there. You can watch the legacy stuff. We'll probably maybe just give an occasional announcement of a posting on the other channel once YouTube takes us off their scrutinized list. But we will be too careful to say anything. Loves the Shawshank analogy, says Sam Sorry. The videos are on Odyssey. You have to go under the Market Sniper. We can't run a 3-sniper channel strategy on all these different platforms. Too much work, I'm afraid. 3 Twitter profiles that I can't monitor the comments and all of this stuff. Our support staff can't do it. So you will find everything on Odyssey under The Market Sniper, our primary website as well, themarketsniper.com. Odyssey, The Market Sniper. You will find Reset there, crypto there, and The Market Sniper for oil, traditional markets as well. So all in one in that area. BitChute's such a problem. You can hardly upload half the time. Don't seem to have the server power, so an issue. All the Crypto Sniper and the Market Sniper vids entirely free. The Reset Sniper, you might need to pay a couple of library tokens. So, you know, there's nothing in it for us. It's just speculating on where the future takes us. And we ask that you just respect us. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. So Filecoin, lots of calls for Neo and the smaller guys. So here's what I want to say to you. The safest and best money is going to be made probably on the top 10, generally. By the time they are coming into the top 15 and they're moving fast, okay, I become interested in them. Don't forget, where is crypto.com token? And all of those. Some people were giving Ryle some problems about internet computer and how hard it fell. You continue to have flyers that come into the top and then fall out of it. Tron is at 24 now. Aave was about to enter the top 10. It's at 29 now. Bitcoin SV is at 30. You know, so you have a lot of things that come in and don't hang around. And it's so much better just to recognize what the market continues to recognize as the leading tokens, and stay in that top 10, top 15, unless you're looking for something specific to privacy. So there's Algorand there. It's at 32. A lot of you like that one. You can go and look and repeat what I've done. I actually think FTX token and FTT is a good token because of the exchange usability. The exchange link is below. If you haven't got an FTX account, I would certainly open one. It'll become your favorite almost within matters of moments. And I certainly utilize it. And they're going to be doing cards. They're doing a lot of innovation. In the US, you can get a bank card. I know Binance does some of this, but their derivatives platform far more usable. The lending, the wallet handling, it's just so much better. I'm doing a sales job for them. It's not because I've got a link below that you can use. It's just because I'm using it and I enjoy using it. So I'll never say I find something good unless I'm using it myself. There's the same for the crypto, the bullion vaults and the silver and gold. You guys should still have some of that stuff outside of crypto. Why? Because it's what I'm doing and it's what I feel. That's how I feel and that's what I'm doing and that's what I'm reporting. But should you do it, that's your decision. But I think it makes sense to me. And I'm non-financial advisor, and I continue to assert that, but I will use language like I think it's stuff people should do. Concerning for EOS, what about ARRR, the privacy token? I think it climbed nicely. I'm not sure it's got enough history. So generally, if I want to do a chart and share, you want it also to be a token that has had some history. So you can look at it and have a proper daily, weekly. The problem with the crypto realm is a lot of new things. Someone will say, look at my token, and it's done an ICO and it's done a spike, a mass crash, and then it's been bouncing along the bottom and it's slowly coming up. And that's on a hourly time frame. And you've got 4 months of data. It's not technical analysis that. It's like a seedling. It's like looking at some sperm and asking me how fast he's going to run the 100 meters when he's 26 years old. I'm just no good at telling you that. To bring him to me when he's 25, and I can look at how athletic he's been throughout his history and how hard he works and how physical he is, I might be able to say he's going to be quite a good sprinter. He might do you a 10.9. I can't tell you that on a little ovaries, egg, and a tray of sperm. I can't do it unless you tell me who the parents are. So a good question. Someone's asked about dollar index, and it's a good question because it matters. And we'll leave the lovely chart of Solana, which actually doesn't look bad against BTC as well. Very promising structure here. So you want my technical pick of the week, and actually for the next month or two, I'm going to give you Solana. And you can come back at me in next month and ask me and tell me how I did. Has it gone higher? 1 month time. Remind me of this. On Twitter, they have this at remind me of this. Solana. What did Sniper say? He said Solana. He said a few others as well. Other good news flow. I would put it second. Ethereum going to be decent, I think, and pretty good. Better than Bitcoin, in my opinion. Although they will all should be up. So come back at me 6 weeks or a month and ask and tell me you did good or you did bad. And I'll accept it either way. Solana is that call. Number one right now. And that doesn't mean tonight. It can go down a little bit first as well. I'm talking about a month to 6 weeks. Talk to me about where it is. Total 2. Look at this. Look at this. This, I feel stirrings below the belt. Below the belt line. Although I'm sure watching England play football against the West Germans will fix me of any lusty senses of virility. He's crossing that wedge, and you may have a small 3 after your big flag here and blow off first impulse, your rising wedge into the bloated, lengthy final capitulation, second impulse, marginally lower low, failure to make a new low. You might have a 3 there, and this could keep going. So you are closer to you think. You are sleeping. You've stopped trading. You've stopped watching. You've knuckled down. You've put on your hard hat. You've climbed into your foxhole. You're trying to keep your head down. You're petrified. That's exactly where they want to be. They want you to be. Be strong. Be positive. Seize every day. Keep your mindset. Your alt market's coming back. You're going to make money if you trade it right. You're going to make even more if you're a sniper. And we're going to be delighted to help you get that. It's all coming back on that front. The news is good. You're going to be rich. You're going to buy loads of stuff online. The delivery boy is going to know you by a first name basis. You can have your Ferrari delivered to your driveway. All of that's coming. But you've got to be smart. Watch when you trade with leverage. It's not yet a leverage trade. This is not advice. This is my opinion. But the alt market is coming back, and you just need Bitcoin to not die, and the alts might lead the charge. It might be slightly different because it's second half to a new bull. It's the second half to a new bull, guys. And they don't need that amount of time of looking up. And I would say to you, Bitcoin looks pretty good. With that, I love you and leave you. See you on the links. Book a call. Chat to amazing people just like you who we've helped get reset ready from a point of view of protecting. It's not what you make. You guys need to think now about how much money you're going to make and how much tax you're going to end up paying on that money if you don't already have your structure plan. A lot cheaper than the specialists in that front that want to charge you 8 grand for a report and another 25 grand to do that. You can do it for a fraction of that price, and you can get reset ready where you can protect your money, your future gains you're about to make as this market starts to find its feet again. This is a good moment. Everyone is in fear. Walk forward, chin out, chest out. Be a man And if you're not a man, be whatever you are. If you're a lady, you're a sister from another mister, and I love you. If you're a man, then you're my brother from another mother, and I love you too. All the other genders can take a back seat for now, but now's your time. Go and win. It's coming. Pay attention. God bless you all, and see you next time on Crypto Sniper. Don't forget the Market Sniper tomorrow on why you should have time-based stops on the market. All the best. Bye-bye.